Shalom everyone. In this video, I'm going to simply present the case that the Bible is not a Freemasonic construct, nor is it a construct of any other secret society that is an element of this beast system, such as the Jesuit order, such as Rosicrucianism, such as any element or aspect of the so-called Illuminati that is out there. There are a number of people out there who believe this. There are some that propagate this notion and so forth. And I just simply want to, discuss that matter and state the case that that is not the case, that the Bible is indeed the word of the Most High, the Creator, YaHuWaH. Okay, now, I'm not going to be able to provide absolute proof on this matter. I don't think that any amount of evidence or proof that he is real and that the Bible is the inspired word of the Most High is going to make any difference to those who do not want to believe it or who simply do not believe it. In my experience in life, most people are really not intellectually honest anyway, okay? And, it's been my experience in trying to relate to people the existence of this New World Order and the existence of this beast system that no amount of documentation or proof or evidence is going to make any difference regarding what people want to believe, okay? But I also want to say this. The onus is not on the Creator to provide this proof, although He does. He does provide plenty of proof, I believe, regarding this. However, the onus is on us to sincerely seek the truth in an intellectually honest manner. And if one does that, then He will open your eyes and He will lead you into all truth. And we're going to discuss that in this video too. Now, as far as truth goes, okay, the notion of what truth is it is taught in our school systems and is kind of, that truth is relative and that all things are relative, such as this. And if one buys into that, then one basically believes that they have the luxury to kind of believe whatever they want to believe and that, truth is fluid and so forth. But if there is objective truth, okay, if there is objective absolute truth, and that truth is that there is a Creator and that His word is true, then no amount of clever human reasoning to say that the Bible is not the truth and is it was written by Freemasons or anything like this is going to make any difference. Because in this beast system that we live under, okay, we have a court system. And in this court system, a good lawyer can go into court and he can be thoroughly dishonest, okay? But if he or she, if they present a good case that is enough to sway the jury, okay, or sway people or influence other people, even though they're completely dishonest, they can win the case and they can get away with these things. Because, in a courtroom, in our society, it isn't really truth so much that matters in this beast system. It's who you know and how influential and how clever your reasoning can be, okay? However, if it is not the case, as far as the existence of a Creator, okay, and that His kingdom is coming, okay, then no amount of clever human reasoning is going to make any difference to discredit His existence, and this is an important matter to address this, because it's like this. If I give someone a warning, okay, if they don't realize that they're, say, standing on train tracks, and I see that they're standing on train tracks and that there is a freight train coming, okay, and it's soon going to hit them and cream them and kill them, and I say, hey, you are standing on train tracks. There's a train coming. You need to realize this. You need to step off those tracks so that you do not die. If they say to me, I don't believe you, prove that, The onus is not on me to prove that. The onus is on me to warn you of that, okay? No amount of that person's reasoning, if they simply say, well, I'm not really standing on train tracks. And they give this reason or that reason or another, and there isn't really a train coming. And that noise that I hear in the background, that's something else. That's not a freight train coming. If they do that, is that going to change reality? Is that going to change the truth that there is a train coming and that it's going to kill them? No, it's not going to change that whatsoever, because that is the truth. Okay? Likewise, I just want to use that analogy here, because if the word in the Bible is true, those that are propagating these notions and those that are buying into this false narrative that the Bible cannot be trusted, and that it is influenced by either Freemasonry or the Jesuit order or ancient mystery schools from Egypt, anything like this whatsoever, okay? If that is not true, and it is the word of the Most High, then I suggest reading and contemplating on Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 11, and Revelation chapter 21, verse 8, because that will be the fate of those propagating these notions and selling these lies and buying into this nonsense. Okay, so I simply just want to present the case otherwise, that the word of the Most High is true and that it can be trusted. Okay, so it's also important to note that I was not really raised in the church. I was not raised in Protestant Christian churches or anything, although my family did take me to church here and there when I was younger and so forth. I wasn't interested in it, and I didn't believe it, and going to Sunday churches, I didn't feel anything there. It was just something that I kind of had to do, that I was made to do, and so forth. And, the only point that I'm making here is I was not raised to believe certain things, because a lot of people believe what they believe simply because their culture dictates it, or they were raised in a household where they were taught this, that, or the other, and that is why they believe things, not because they've actually delved into it for themselves and done research into these matters and truly and genuinely sought the truth for themselves to find out what it is. So I can say that, about 10 years ago, I began looking into what this world system really is and trying to understand the world that I live in. And after reading quite a few books and watching documentaries and reading a lot of articles on this, I came to realize that we do indeed live under a false system that is satanic in nature, okay? And, it took me a while to accept that this was indeed high-level satanic spiritual warfare being implemented covertly from the ruling class of this world, but not only that, from spiritual elements, Satan and his minions and so forth. And realizing that truth about this world that we live in, I was then able to make the step and begin exploring the Bible and so forth, and begin exploring the faith and so forth, and so much more has been opened up from doing that. Ephesians 6:12 tells us that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, okay, and that that our battle is against spiritual wickedness in high places, and that this is spiritual warfare, and that is exactly what this world system is. I want to let's see. Also, as that was like the big segue, learning about the satanic world system, this new world order, how this operated, and the fact that there are people out there among the ruling class who actually torture children and drink their blood and so forth in satanic rituals, which I do not believe would be taking place if people were left to their own devices, okay? And if they were not demonically influenced, this would not be taking place, because I believe that is highly abnormal to engage in such activity. And of course, without saying, it is incredibly evil. I want to read a quote here by Lawrence Patton McDonald. This is a former congressman out of Georgia. This is a quote that I love, that I've read many times on this channel. This describes the world system that we live in, that we live under right now. The drive of the Rockefellers and their allies is to create a one-world government, combining supercapitalism and communism under the same tent, all under their control. Do I mean conspiracy? Yes, I do. I am convinced there is such a plot, international in scope, generations old in planning, and incredibly evil in intent. Again, that's former Congressman Lawrence Patton McDonald. Now, that describes, something that is international in scope, generations old in planning. That is highly indicative right there that there is something more than human influence on such an undertaking. I don't believe that man has the ability to carry out a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy, as JFK put it, over the period of generations. It is spiritually directed. And this system that Mr. Patton or Mr. McDonald describes is prophesied in several places in the Bible. I just want to read one place right here from Daniel chapter 7, verse 23. It is prophesied as the fourth kingdom or the fourth beast. This is what he said. The fourth beast is the fourth kingdom on earth, which is different from all other kingdoms, and it devours all the earth, tramples it down, and crushes it. Okay? These elements, these elements that I'm talking about here, Freemasonry, the Jesuits, and so forth, these are elements of this beast system, this fourth beast system. And one of the things that is done, number one, yes, they operate covertly. However, in this day and age, there is an abundance of information that has revealed their workings and so forth. And even still, many do not see it, many do not understand it, many do not want to understand it because they think that they have the luxury to avoid the truth. Now, I want to say that, I want to read from Numbers chapter 12, verse 3 here. These are some examples of who Yahuwah's people are and a specific characteristic about them. Okay, so this is Numbers chapter 12, verse 3. And the man Moses was very humble, more than all men who were on the face of the earth. Now, Moses was chosen specifically to be the deliverer of the Israelites out of Egypt because of this very characteristic right here. Because he was very humble, more than all men who were on the face of the earth. Okay. Now, another way that I have come to realize and believe without any doubt that what is written in the Bible is the truth is because of the findings of Ron Wyatt. Now, Ron Wyatt, if you look him up on Wikipedia, Wikipedia will trash him. But as I've said before, Wikipedia is a tool of this fourth beast system. It operates under the guise of, reporting things objectively, but it is a tool of propaganda. Okay. Now, Ron Wyatt was responsible in the 1980s and 1990s for finding the Ark of the Covenant, having the blood examined, which was Yahushua, Jesus' blood, on the lid of atonement, the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. He was responsible for finding the resting place of Noah's Ark, for the ashen remains of Sodom and Gomorrah, and having some of the remains there analyzed, the sulfur analyzed, which was determined to be not natural as coming from earth. Just as it reads in the account in Genesis about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Also, let's see, what else? There were a number of other things. I've got 4 videos about Ron Wyatt on this channel. One of them is called Ron Wyatt Amazing Discoveries. It goes through all his findings and so forth. But the point is, he did not find these things on his own. He was doing the Father's work. And I'm going to read right here from the book of Sirach as to why that is. Now, I'm going to be reading a few verses from the book of Sirach, from the Wisdom of Solomon, from the book of 2nd Baruch, and from Enoch. These are extra biblical books. Some refer to them as the Apocrypha, but I believe without any doubt it is valid scripture. I'll be reading these verses from this from the Sefer right here. This contains 66 books of standard canon and 22 extra biblical books as well. So Sirach, there's a passage out of Sirach which describes Ron Wyatt exactly. Sirach chapter 3 verse 19. Many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. Now, mysteries are revealed unto the meek. Now, again, this is exactly in line with what it said about Moses. He is using Moses because he was humble, more than any man on the face of the earth, to be his deliverer, to be the administrator of his works. Okay? And same with Ron Wyatt. The reason Ron Wyatt was chosen to do the work that he did, and he was doing the Father's work. He was the administrator of his works in this case, in these cases. It is because he is the meek and the humble. I encourage anyone who is not familiar with Ron Wyatt to check him out, to watch some of his documentaries. Like I said, there's 4 on this channel, and there's plenty of material about him on YouTube as well. So I want to read from 2 Baruch chapter 14, verse 18 right here. And you did say that you would make for your world man as the administrator of your works, that it might be known that he was by no means made on account of the world, but the world on account of him. Okay, so right there it says man was made to be the administrator of his works, to be the administrator of Yahuwah's works. So here we have this example with Moses, we have this example with Ron Wyatt, but also, yes, men wrote the Bible, but they were men who were set apart by Yahuwah to do so. The prophets, okay? The Apostle Paul, Moses, who wrote the Torah, okay? They are the administrators of his work, which is the writing, the written word of his word, okay? So, my general idea about why these notions are being put out there, that Freemasonic elements are responsible for the Bible and so forth, specifically the King James and so forth, I see this as controlled opposition. Now, there was a film that I saw back in, I believe it was about 2008. The film was called Zeitgeist, okay, and it presented excellent information regarding the New World Order. It was a good expose of 9/11, which I found mind-blowing at the time, okay? It was also a good expose of the Federal Reserve, of the banking system, and so forth, and the history of these, so-called elite families like the Morgans and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and so forth. But one element of that film was also, it was presenting this notion that all religion is a form of control, and it is meant to control the minds of men and women on earth, okay? And at the time, I just did not know what to think about that because I did not know, okay? As I delved deeper, after watching that film and did my reading and did my homework on these things and came to realize that this is a satanic world system, I realized that is part of the deception as well. Because there are a number of people who believe this, unfortunately. They're very well versed in the New World Order and report on it and everything, but believe that all religion, okay, is a form of control. Now, I want to propose to you that religion, okay, the term religion, what this is a whole lot of counterfeit versions of the true faith. Because if something is the truth, it cannot be called religion. Okay, religion is a label, and the manipulation of language is a form of mind control as well. So to label everything as religion, religion can turn people off because there's a lot of hypocrisy in Protestant Christianity. Okay, there's a lot of violence in the religion known as Islam and so forth. Okay, and some people, they just write it all off altogether because none of it makes sense to them. They can't make sense out of it, and all religion, does seem wrong. Okay, but I propose to you this. Okay, part of Satan's deception and part of the deception of this beast system is to take the truth and then to create a whole bunch of different counterfeit versions of it, and that is what religion is. And I want to sum up to you right here what the true faith is and what the truth is in this one verse in Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. Here is the endurance of the set-apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Yahuwah Elohim and the belief of Yahushua. Now, when it says here are those guarding the commands of Yahuwah Elohim, okay, I believe that is specifically referring to the commandments that are given in the Torah, in Exodus, and in Deuteronomy. That includes the dietary laws. That includes the proper keeping of the proper appointed times which are laid down in the Torah, of which Easter and Christmas are not. That is paganism mixed with the true faith, okay? And that is what modern-day Christianity is. It is paganism mixed with the truth, okay? And he warns against mixture in the Torah quite a bit. Now, as I've been speaking here about the Father I refer to the Father as YaHuWaH. I believe that that is his true name, and the Messiah's name is YaHushua. In every video that I make, I include links to teachings in the description box about his name, about their name. And I'm going to include a link to the teaching entitled Restoring the Creator's Name, Hashem Revealed. This is about the Father's name. This is an hour and 10 minutes long. Also, what is his son's name is an hour and 48 minutes long on the name of Yahushua. Okay, so if there is an omnipotent creator, then he has the ability to preserve his word, and he has. So this notion that the Bible has been tampered with in such a way that it is rendered untrustworthy and unreliable is a method of deception, which says essentially that, well, if there is a creator, then he is not powerful enough to preserve his word, and these elements of the beast system are more powerful than he, and they can tamper with it, and man can tamper with it, and there's just nothing that he can do about that. I mean, come on. Once you realize that there really is a creator and that we are created beings, and we do not live on a ball pointlessly spinning through an infinite universe with billions and billions of galaxies, this false version of cosmology is perhaps the greatest deception of all, because through that the notion of evolution can be sold. And I believe that we live on a flat earth enclosed in the firmament. Okay, it is a stationary earth, and realizing that right there, one should realize without any doubt that this is a intelligent creation. And that very thing about the cosmology, the sun and the moon being in the firmament, is described in the Bible, in the extra biblical books and in standard canon. So I want to read here a prophecy from the book of Enoch regarding the preservation of his word. This is Enoch chapter 104, verses 8 and 9. That's from the Sefer. Different versions of the book of Enoch. The chapters vary a little bit, so that's why I was referencing that this is from the Sefer. 104, 8 and 9. They shall speak evil things. They shall utter falsehood, and create a great creation, and compose Sepharim, which is scrolls, books, in their own words. But when they shall write all my words correctly in their own languages, they shall neither change or diminish them, all which from the first I have uttered concerning them. Okay, so they shall speak evil things, they shall utter falsehood. Okay, there is evil thoughts in man's minds to tamper with his word, to change it, and so forth, through elements of the beast system. But that doesn't mean that they can necessarily do so, because if they could do so, then he isn't the Almighty, but he is the Almighty. So they speak these things, and they may attempt to do things, and it may be in their hearts and their minds to do these things, and minor changes, minor things may be allowed by him, but with a sincere seeking of the truth, okay, his word is preserved, and it is trustworthy. Just to illustrate the point here, though, that for a time, which goes back to the Garden of Eden, where there is a curse on mankind because of why? Because Adam and Eve transgressed the command of Yahuwah to not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay, they did so. The devil was given, Satan was given dominion over the earth for a time. Right here, Luke chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. And the devil, taking him, Yahushua, taking him up on a high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said to him, all this authority I shall give you, and their esteem, for it has been delivered unto me, and I give it to whomever I wish. Now the point that I wanted to bring that out right there is, the devil said to him, all this authority I shall give you, and their esteem, for it has been delivered unto me. Okay, whoever delivered it unto him has the power to take it from him as well. Whoever delivered that unto the devil, okay, is greater than he. Okay, so he may be allowed to do certain things, but he really cannot do anything or employ any sort of deception unless it is allowed by our Creator Yahuwah. Here's another example of that right here. John chapter 19, verses 10 and 11. Okay, so Pontius Pilate asks Yahushua a question. Yahushua refuses to answer him. Okay, John chapter 19, 10 and 11. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not speak to me? Do you not know that I possess authority to impale you? And I possess authority to release you." Yahushua answered, "You would possess no authority against me if it were not given you from above. Because of this, he who delivered me to you has greater sin." Yahushua makes it clear right there in the Gospels. Okay? He does not have any authority whatsoever unless it is allowed by his Father in heaven, our Father in heaven. Okay? This is an example of that right there. Why did this take place? Why did the crucifixion take place? Because Yahushua is the fulfillment of the Passover lamb. Okay? The shedding of his blood covers our sins. Okay? This is fulfilling Scripture. This is fulfilling the story that Yahuwah has spoken. Okay? So whatever tampering has been done with the Bible, he has allowed it. But it has been minor, and his word has been magnificently preserved. Okay? One example of this, in the King James Version, okay, in Acts chapter, I believe it's chapter 14, it's either chapter 12 or chapter 14, we see the word Easter appear. Okay? But in every other Bible version, the word is Passover. The word is Pesach. And that's what it should be. Okay? That is a minor thing right there. Okay, that was inserted right there. Easter is a counterfeit version of Passover. But with sincere seeking, this is not hard to reconcile whatsoever. That's just an example of something minor that's been done. Job chapter 1. Okay, this tells us that Satan has to ask for permission. He has to ask for permission to torment Job. Okay, and Yahuwah has to remove his hedge of protection from Job before Satan can do anything to him whatsoever. Likewise with his word. He has preserved his word. Okay, Revelation chapter 13, verse 4. And they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" The dragon here is Satan, who gave authority to the beast system. Now, elements of the beast system are these secret societies such as Freemasonry, the Jesuit order, Rosicrucianism, Skull and Bones, all that. Okay? Now, they get their authority from Satan. But Satan is a created being from Yahuwah himself. He is the one who's in charge here. Freemasonry is a vehicle through which the satanic agenda has advanced over the generations, just like Lawrence Patton MacDonald referred to, that this is generations old in planning. Okay, Freemasonry is one of those prime elements through which this has advanced for at least the last 200 years. Okay, I want to quote something here from General Albert Pike, Grand Commander, Sovereign Pontiff of Universal Freemasonry. He is quoted as saying, "The Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine." Okay? In addition, Manly P. Hall, a very well-known Freemason who wrote several books about this, speaking at a lecture in 1929, said, "The first edition of the King James Bible, which was edited by Francis Bacon and prepared under Masonic supervision, bears more Mason's marks than the Cathedral of Strasbourg." Manly P. Hall also wrote in a book entitled The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, he wrote, "When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onwards and upwards, he must prove his ability to properly apply this energy." So from that right there, we can glean that Masonry, at the very top, is Luciferian. Although many in the lower degrees do not know this, many in the Blue Lodges do not know this, but there is an abundance of information out there regarding these matters. This is just a little bit that I'm sharing right here. Okay, so being that this is the case, are Freemasons, do they honor the commandment of thou shalt not bear false witness? I would say not. You know, they're not bound by being truth tellers, you know, and not being deceivers. I propose to you that there's a whole lot of deception involved in Freemasonry. Okay, I want to read something from an article here. This is from an article from Cutting Edge Ministries. On that note, this reads, Superior Masons deliberately lie to their fellow Masons, as those Masons, quote-unquote, deserve to be misled. Explanations given to 95% of all Masons are wrong. Listen to this quote from a Masonic author, Carl Claudy. Cut through the outer shell and find a meaning. Cut through that meaning and find another. Under it, if you dig deep enough, you may find a third, a fourth. Who shall say how many teachings? Okay. Being that this is the case, who cares what Manly P. Hall said at a lecture in 1929 regarding their influence on the King James Bible, regarding anything like that? These are merely men of secret societies, okay, who make these claims and so forth. Their claims should be taken with a grain of salt, because there is one who is in charge, and it is Yahuwah the Creator. Okay? I propose to you that this is what this is about right here. It's Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 14. Okay, now in this, you will hear me refer to, in most English Bibles, you will see the word Lucifer in verse 12. Okay, in the version that I use, the scriptures, it appears as Hellel. But Hellel is Lucifer and Satan, or Satan. Okay, so Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 14. How you have fallen from the heavens, O Hillel, son of the morning. You have been cut down to the ground, you who laid low the nations. For you have said in your heart, let me raise my throne above the stars of El, and let me sit in the mount of appointment on the sides of the north. Let me go up above the heights of the clouds. Let me be like the Most High. Okay, this is Lucifer, Satan, Hallel, who aspires to be like the Most High. Okay, now, the dragon gave authority to the beast. The beast system gives authority to organizations like Freemasonry to exist. Okay, and this is what this is about. When they are saying, we are responsible for the words that are in the Bible, that is claiming to be like the Most High. And this is what they're doing. I don't even think they realize what they're doing, but that's what I think they're doing. Romans chapter 9, verse 21. Does not the potter have authority over the clay from the same lump to make one vessel for value and another not for value? Okay? Yahuwah is the potter. We are the clay. Okay? They are not going to be like the Most High. They are not like the Most High. Okay. Wisdom and understanding regarding His existence and the truth of His word is spiritually discerned. But where does it come from? It comes from Him and Him alone. This is from the book of Sirach, chapter 1, verse 1. All wisdom comes from Yahuwah and is with Him forever. Okay? So that would be the wisdom to understand that He is, and the importance of keeping His word, keeping His commandments. Okay? Because truth is spiritually discerned, as I heard Ron Wyatt say in one of his videos. I completely agree with that. From the book of the Wisdom of Solomon, also from the Sefer, chapter 8, verse 21. Nevertheless, when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her being a reference to wisdom. Let me start over. Nevertheless, when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her, except Elohim gave her me, and that was a point of wisdom also, to know whose gift she was. I prayed unto Yahuwah and besought Him with my whole heart, I said. Okay, that's the end of that verse, and he goes on, to make a prayer and so forth. But the point of bringing that out is that is a point of wisdom to know where wisdom comes from. Okay? Here's a good example in the Gospels of this right here. Matthew chapter 16, verses 15 through 17. Okay, so YaHuWaH is addressing his disciples, and he specifically has a brief conversation here with Shimon Kepha, who is also known as Simon Peter. He said to them, "And you, who do you say I am?" And Shimon Kepha answering said, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim." And YaHuWaH answering said to him, "Blessed are you, Shimon bar Yonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in the heavens." Okay, so it's telling us right there, it is he who opens your eyes, it is he who gives you understanding to know, for one thing, that YaHuWaH, his son, is the Messiah. Okay, so people think that they are clever in what they are figuring things out, and they think that they are clever with their reasoning and so forth. But if we are the clay and he is the potter, all understanding that one has of anything comes from him. All right? Now, there's an interesting story in the book of Numbers, chapter 22, where there is a magician named Balaam, and he has been hired to curse the children of Israel. But he has to consult with YaHuWaH first if he is going to be allowed to do this. And he cannot. He is not allowed to do so, so he doesn't do anything. So in this particular chapter, he is riding on a donkey, and he and the donkey approach a messenger of YaHuWaH standing with a sword in a narrow passageway. Okay? But Balaam does not see the messenger. Okay? Only the donkey does. Okay? And the donkey stops and will not proceed. And Balaam gets very upset. He starts kicking his donkey, And so Numbers chapter 22, verse 31. Then YaHuWaH opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the messenger of YaHuWaH standing in the way with his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed his head and fell on his face. The point is, YaHuWaH had to open Balaam's eyes. A donkey saw the messenger of YaHuWaH and stopped and would not proceed, but Balaam couldn't see it until his eyes were opened to see it. The point of that is, once again, the potter has power over the clay. He can open our eyes, he can close our eyes, he can make us rich, he can make us poor. He is the giver of all life, and he can take your life as well. Okay? 2 Thessalonians tells us that those who do not receive the love of the truth will be given over to strong delusion. Okay? So I guess the point that I am trying to make with all this is that the truth of his existence and the truth of the word in the Bible is spiritually discerned. He is going to give understanding to those who are sincerely seeking the truth with a humble heart, okay, and with intellectual honesty. Not with bias, but with intellectual honesty and with purity in heart. If they are seeking the truth, then he is going to reveal these things to you. This has just been my experience in genuinely seeking the truth in this world that I live in. I did not believe that it was going to lead to the Bible. In fact, I resisted it for a long time. Okay? Then I realized without any doubt, that is the truth. Okay? We are created beings. We do not live in this vast, infinite, universe. We live on a flat earth in an enclosed firmament. Okay? He has made this world for us, like it reads in 2 Baruch. Okay? Now, another interesting witness to the existence of the Messiah and his existence is in a great documentary entitled "Age of Deceit: Fallen Angels in the New World Order." This is about a 2.5-hour documentary. I strongly encourage you to watch it. I'm going to leave a link in the description box. Now, the point why I bring this up is at the 1 hour and 11 minute mark, between the 1 hour and 11 minute mark and the 1 hour and 26 minute mark, it is discussed in this documentary regarding the phenomena of so-called alien abduction, which I now believe is demonic manifestation. that the only way, okay, this is about people's testimonies regarding how this terrifying experience of so-called alien abduction stopped was when they called on the name of Jesus. That is what made it stop. Okay? And intellectually dishonest UFO researchers wanted to disregard that because that did not fit the narrative of their UFO research. Okay? So that's interesting. I strongly encourage you to watch that. So basically, if one reads the Bible, okay, sincerely seeking, I mean, people should be able to discern that this is not the product of the mind of man, especially the book of Revelation. Anyone who's read the book of Revelation, I mean, what mind of man could come up with such a work as that, So I want to bring out some, what I consider to be some very interesting correlations and connections and prophecies here, which is just to illustrate the point that the Bible is put together in such a magnificent way that it is strongly indicative of spiritual influence, and good spiritual influence at that, and not the mind of men from secret societies. Revelation chapter 1, verse 17. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead, and he placed his right hand on me, saying, Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. Okay? Isaiah chapter 44, verse 6. This is prophesied. Thus said YaHuWaH, sovereign of Israel and his Redeemer, YaHuWaH of hosts. I am the first and I am the last. Besides me, there is no Elohim. That's subtle. I mean, you got to read the word, you got to dig into it, and then when you see these things like that, it's like, wow, I've seen that before. Where else was that in the Bible? It's put together in a magnificent way. Triumphal entry. Matthew chapter 21, verses 1 through 5. And when they came near to Jerusalem and came to Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, then Yahushua sent 2 taught ones, saying to them, Go into the village opposite you, and straightway you shall find a donkey tied, and a colt with her. Loosen them and bring them to me. And if anyone says whatever to you, you shall say, The master needs them, and immediately he shall send them. And all this took place that it might be filled what was spoken by the prophet, saying, Say to the daughter of Sion, See, your sovereign is coming to you, meek and sitting on a donkey, even a colt, the foal of a donkey. So once again, we're given the adjective of meek to describe his people. In this case, it just happens to be his son, the Savior, Yahushua, the Messiah. So where's this prophesied? Okay, Zephaniah chapter 9, verse 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Sion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. See, your sovereign is coming to you. He is righteous and endowed with deliverance, humble and riding on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey. Now, I mean, there are probably many that sit in Protestant Christian churches on Sunday who are not aware of what is written in the prophets in the Old Testament at all. Why? Because they're not really taught this stuff. They're not really taught the Torah and the prophets. They have to seek it out on their own. But many do not, because they believe that their pastors are more learned and knowledgeable than they, so they simply listen to them for guidance on these matters, when you should seek him yourself, as it reads in Isaiah 55:6 and Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 3. Okay, here's a very interesting correlation. I just love this. Acts chapter 1, verses 8 through 12. But you shall receive power when the set apart Spirit... Back up. This is Yahushua speaking before he ascends up into the Shemayim, or the heaven. But you shall receive power when the set apart Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be my witnesses in Jerusalem, and in all Yehuda and Shamaron, and to the ends of the earth. And having said this, while they were looking on, he was taken up, and a cloud hid him from their sight. And as they were gazing into the heaven as he went up, see, 2 men stood by them dressed in white, who also said, Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking up into the heaven? This same YaHuWaH, who was taken up from you into the heaven, shall come in the same way you saw him go into the heaven. Then they went back to Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives, which is near Jerusalem, a Sabbath day's journey. Now, keep in mind here, this same YaHuWaH who was taken up from the heaven shall come back in the same way that you saw him go into the heaven. Where were they? They were at the Mount of Olives. It tells us in verse 12. They went back to Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives. So this took place at the Mount of Olives. Where is this prophesied? Zephaniah once again. Chapter 14, verses 3 and 4. And YaHuWaH shall go forth, and he shall fight against those nations, as he fights in the day of battle. And in that day his feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives, which faces Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall be split in two, from east to west, a very great valley. And half of the mountain shall move toward the north, and half of it toward the south. That is an end-time prophecy, telling you, his feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives. Now that is not something that everybody connects right there. So I propose to you, it is not the mind, it is not coming from the mind of men of secret societies that are putting this together like this. It's coming from the mind of the Almighty, the Creator YaHuWaH. Hallelujah. Okay. Exodus chapter 12 tells us about, this is when Passover is introduced. Okay, this is when the Hebrews, the Israelites, are about to be delivered out of Egypt. They are told to take a lamb without blemish. Okay, and they are to slay that lamb, and they are to eat that lamb. They are to take the blood and put it on their doorposts. Okay, and that is when YaHuWaH, the messenger of YaHuWaH, shall pass over them and shall not slay them, because he slayed the firstborn of the people in Egypt, Mitzrayim, and that included the animals as well. Okay, but death passed them over because they were covered by the blood of the lamb that was on their doorposts. Now, this story of Passover in Exodus chapter 12 is actually a 1,500-year prophecy about the coming of Messiah, because YaHuWaH is the Passover lamb. Okay, so a lamb was slain at Passover, which resulted in the deliverance of his people, okay, the Israelites. And YaHuWaH was slain on Passover, being the fulfillment of the Passover lamb. And by the shedding of his blood, we are delivered from bondage and sin and death. Okay, John chapter 1, verse 29. On the next day, Yohanan, who is John, saw YaHuWaH coming toward him and said, See, the Lamb of Elohim who takes away the sin of the world. Now, why would he refer to him as the Lamb? I mean, is this just some strange nickname that he just made up on the spot? No. He knows that the Messiah is the fulfillment of this prophecy in Exodus chapter 12. Okay? YaHuWaH, the Messiah, is referred to as the Lamb in 26 verses in the book of Revelation. Okay? I just find it a very unusual story to be concocted by the minds of men, especially the minds of men coming from secret societies, to concoct such a story as this. Okay? Because it's not. Yeah, here's a very subtle prophecy that I don't think many are aware of, but it's very interesting. That's why I want to bring it out now. This is Exodus chapter 12, verse 46, regarding the instructions about the Passover lamb, how to eat it, what to do with it. Okay? Exodus 12:46. It is eaten in one house. You are not to take any of the flesh outside the house, nor are you to break any bone of it. Okay? In John chapter 19, YaHuWaH, he's been crucified with 2 others. Okay? And one of the customs when they took them down from the cross was to break their legs. Okay? But they did not with YaHuWaH. John chapter 19, verse 33. But when they came to YaHuWaH and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. They did not break his bones, okay? Because it was prophesied that the Passover lamb's bones should not be broken in Exodus 12:46. YaHuWaH is the fulfillment of the Passover lamb, as evidenced right here. So I hope that someone or someone's can benefit from this discussion, and I thank you for listening.